The hum of the cooling fan was the only sound in the suffocating silence of Rohan's room. It was 2:42 a.m. Outside, the world was asleep, but inside the glow of three monitors, Rohan was awake, fueled by caffeine and the desperate need for viral content. His YouTube channel, The Midnight Eye, was dying. He needed something extreme. He needed the dark web. Rohan wasn't a beginner. He knew the risks of using Tor browsers and encrypted layers, but tonight felt different. The air felt thick, almost heavy, like someone was breathing right behind his neck. He adjusted his headset and looked at his webcam. "All right, guys, we are going deep tonight," he whispered to his few hundred live viewers. The chat was scrolling fast. "Don't do it, Rohan. This is fake. Go to the Red Room." At exactly 2:58 a.m., a message appeared in his private inbox. The sender's name was just a string of zeros. No profile picture, no bio, only a link that looked like a jagged scar of random letters and numbers. "Someone just sent me a direct entry point," Rohan told the camera, his voice trembling slightly. "They say this is a live feed from an abandoned asylum, but the file size is 0 kilobytes. That's impossible." He clicked. The screen flickered violently. For a moment, the room felt ice cold. A window popped up, filling his main monitor with a grainy, black and white video feed. It was a room. A small, windowless room with peeling wallpaper and a single wooden chair in the center. The camera angle was high, looking down. "It's just an empty room, guys," Rohan said, trying to hide his disappointment. "Wait, what is that in the corner?" He leaned closer to the screen. In the far right corner of the grainy feed, a shadow began to move. It wasn't a human shadow. It was tall, impossibly thin, with limbs that seemed to bend at unnatural angles. It didn't walk, it glided. As it moved toward the center of the room, the audio on Rohan's headset crackled. Scree! A high-pitched, metallic scratching sound pierced his ears. Rohan winced, pulling the headphones back. On the screen, the entity stopped right in front of the chair. It didn't have a face, just a smooth, pale surface where features should be. Suddenly, the entity looked directly into the camera. In that second, Rohan's own bedroom lights flickered and died. "Guys, my power just went out," Rohan stammered into the darkness, his face illuminated only by the ghostly blue light of the monitor. "But the PC is still running." "How is the PC still running?" The chat was flying now, but Rohan couldn't read it. He was staring at the live feed. The pale entity in the video was now holding up a piece of paper. On it, written in what looked like fresh, dripping ink, were 4 words. "I see you, Rohan." His heart stopped. He hadn't told the viewers his real name. He hadn't logged into any personal accounts. A cold sweat broke out across his forehead as he realized the camera in the video wasn't in an asylum. He recognized the peeling wallpaper. He recognized the crack in the ceiling. The video feed wasn't from a faraway place. It was a live feed of his own spare bedroom, located just 10 feet down the hallway. The silence in the house was no longer empty. It was heavy, like a physical weight pressing against Rohan's chest. He stared at the monitor, his eyes wide and stinging from the blue light. The image on the screen was unmistakable. That was his guest room. The same floral wallpaper his mother had picked out, the same crooked shelf. But the creature, that spindly, faceless thing, was standing there, staring into the lens of a camera that shouldn't exist. "This is a prank," Rohan whispered, his voice cracking. "Someone hacked my system. They're looping old footage or using AI." He looked at the live chat. It had stopped scrolling. The numbers showing his live viewers were spinning backward. 150, 10-0. He was alone. The stream was still live, but the world had been cut off. Suddenly, the audio in his headset hummed to life. It wasn't the metallic scratching from before. It was a rhythmic, wet sound. Thump drag, thump drag. Rohan's heart hammered against his ribs. The sound wasn't just coming through the headphones. It was coming from the hallway. Thump dragged. He slowly turned his head toward his bedroom door. It was slightly ajar, a sliver of pitch-black darkness staring back at him. He gripped the edges of his desk, his knuckles turning white. He had to know. He grabbed his smartphone, turned on the flashlight, and pointed it toward the door. The beam of light cut through the dark, hitting the wooden floorboards. Nothing. He looked back at the monitor. The creature in the guest room was gone. The wooden chair was knocked over, and the door in the video, the door leading out into the hallway, was wide open. "I have to get out of here," Rohan breathed. He stood up, his legs feeling like jelly. He stepped toward the bedroom door, his flashlight trembling in his hand. As he reached the threshold, he smelled something foul, the scent of wet earth and burnt hair. It was so strong it made him gag. He stepped into the hallway. The air here was even colder, his breath forming small clouds of mist in the flashlight's beam. He swung the light toward the guest room at the end of the hall. The door was open, just like in the video. Creak. The sound came from behind him, from inside his own bedroom. Rohan spun around, his light sweeping the room he had just left. His PC monitor was still glowing, but the screen had changed. It wasn't the guest room anymore. The camera was now showing a view of the hallway. He could see himself on the monitor, a small, terrified figure holding a phone. And right behind his digital reflection, a pair of long, pale hands were reaching out from the ceiling. Rohan didn't look up. He didn't wait. He bolted toward the front door at the end of the hallway. His footsteps thundered on the floor, but the thump-drag sound was right on his heels, faster now, more desperate. He reached the front door and grabbed the handle. It wouldn't budge. No, 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 he screamed, kicking the door. He turned the deadbolt, but it felt like the metal had fused together. He was trapped. He turned around, his back against the door, and raised his flashlight. The hallway was empty. But then, he looked down at his own shadow on the floor. His shadow wasn't moving when he moved. It was standing perfectly still. And slowly, his shadow began to raise its hands toward its own throat, mimicking a strangling motion. Rohan felt a phantom grip tighten around his neck. He couldn't breathe. He dropped his phone, the light spinning across the floor, illuminating the ceiling for a split second. There, crawling like a spider across the white plaster, was the creature. Its faceless head tilted 180 degrees to look at him, and a mouth, a jagged, vertical rip, began to open in its smooth skin. The grip on Rohan's throat was invisible but agonizingly real. He slumped against the front door, his hands clawing at the air, trying to pry away fingers that weren't there. His vision began to blur into a haze of gray and black. Just as the world started to fade, the creature on the ceiling let out a piercing, distorted screech, a sound that sounded like 1,000 modem signals screaming at once. Suddenly, the pressure vanished. Rohan fell to his knees, gasping for air, his lungs burning. He scrambled to grab his phone from the floor. The flashlight was flickering, dying. He looked up at the ceiling. The creature was gone. The hallway was empty again, silent and freezing. "I have to get back to the computer," Rohan coughed, his voice a mere whisper. The link is the only way this started. I have to close the connection." He ran back into his bedroom, his heart hammering against his ribs like a trapped bird. The room was bathed in that sickly, pulsating blue light from the monitors. He dived into his chair and grabbed the mouse. The live stream was still running. The viewer count was still at 0, but the video feed had changed again. It was no longer showing his house. It was showing a digital void, a black screen with scrolling lines of red code. In the middle of the code, a window opened. It was a chat box. User_0000. "You tried to leave, Rohan. That was a mistake." Rohan's fingers flew across the keyboard. "Who are you? What do you want from me?" "User_0000. We don't want anything from you. We want to be you." Suddenly, the webcam light on top of Rohan's monitor turned a blood-red color. Usually, it was green. He tried to cover it with his thumb, but the plastic was burning hot, so hot it scorched his skin. He pulled his hand away in pain. On the screen, a new folder appeared on his desktop. It was titled Rohan_final_version. Before he could delete it, the folder opened itself. Thousands of files began to pour out. His childhood photos, his bank details, his private messages, even recordings of him sleeping from years ago. The dark web hadn't just found his location. It had digested his entire life. "Stop it!" Rohan screamed, slamming his fist onto the desk. The monitors froze. The scrolling code stopped. Then, slowly, the pixels on the screen began to shift and bleed. They started to form a face. It wasn't the faceless creature from the hallway. It was Rohan, but it was a twisted version of him. The eyes were hollow pits of static, and the skin looked like it was made of corrupted data. The digital Rohan leaned forward, pressing its face against the glass of the monitor from the inside. "Look behind you," the digital twin mouthed on the screen. Rohan didn't turn around. He looked at the reflection in the dark glass of his second monitor. Standing right behind his chair was the spindly, pale creature. It wasn't attacking. It was holding a heavy, rusted VR headset. Before Rohan could scream, the creature slammed the headset onto Rohan's face. The world turned into a whirlwind of blinding white light and agonizing noise. Rohan felt his mind being pulled, stretched, and dragged through a narrow straw. He felt his physical body becoming light, turning into nothing but pulses of electricity. When he finally opened his eyes, he wasn't in his room anymore. He was sitting in a wooden chair, in a small, windowless room, with peeling floral wallpaper and a single camera looking down at him from the corner of the ceiling. He looked down at his hands. They were pale, thin, and flickering like a bad television signal. He was no longer the viewer. He was the content. Rohan tried to scream, but no sound came out. His throat felt like it was filled with dry pixels. He was trapped in the wooden chair, staring at the camera in the corner of the ceiling. He realized with a jolt of pure terror that he was now the entity he had seen on the screen just minutes ago. Suddenly, a loud ping echoed in the small room. A giant, translucent screen appeared in the air in front of him. It was a YouTube live dashboard. Title: 3 a.m. Dark Web Live Stream. I saw the devil online. Viewers: 1,402,390. Rohan's heart, or what was left of it, jolted. The stream was viral. Millions of people were watching him. He looked at the chat. It was a blur of excitement and fear. OMG, look at his face. This CGI is amazing. Is he going to kill himself? Do something scary. They thought he was a special effect. They thought his agony was entertainment. Help me, he mouthed at the camera, tears of static leaking from his hollow eyes. But on the viewers' screens, it only looked like the creature was baring its teeth in a predatory snarl. Suddenly, a voice boomed from the walls of the digital room. It wasn't human. It was a composite of thousands of different voices, men, women, children, all speaking in unison. The audience is bored, Rohan. You need to give them a show. Who are you? Rohan's mind screamed. We are the algorithm. We are the hunger of the internet. You wanted fame. You wanted views. Now, you belong to the data. In his real-world bedroom, Rohan could see through the camera lens what was happening. A new Rohan, the digital twin with the corrupted face, was now standing in his physical room. The twin picked up Rohan's phone and started recording a story for Instagram. Hey guys, the stream was a huge success. Thanks for the 1 million views. I'm totally fine, just a little tired, the twin said into the phone. The voice was perfect. The smile was perfect. Rohan watched in horror as the imposter began to live his life. The twin walked over to a photo of Rohan's mother and touched it with a cold, pale finger. If the retention drops, Rohan, the algorithm boomed, we delete a memory. If the subscribers leave, we delete a part of your soul. And if the stream ends, you cease to exist. A red progress bar appeared above Rohan's head in the digital room. It was labeled retention. It was at 85% and slowly dropping. What do I have to do? Rohan sobbed. Dance. Scream. Bleed. Whatever it takes to keep them clicking. Look, your mother is calling the other you. Let's see what happens if we make the stream interactive. On the monitor, Rohan saw the imposter answer the phone. Hey mom. Yeah, come over. I have something special to show you. Rohan lunged toward the camera, trying to break the glass of the screen, trying to warn her. But the algorithm laughed. A sharp, electric shock surged through Rohan's body, twisting his limbs into the unnatural, spider-like angles he had seen earlier. The viewers went wild. The likes surged. Good, the voice whispered. Part 5 is about to begin. The guest star has arrived. Outside the digital room, Rohan heard the faint, real-world sound of a car pulling into his driveway. It was his mother. The sound of the car door slamming in the driveway felt like a gunshot in Rohan's digital ears. On the translucent monitor in front of him, he watched through the high-angle camera of his own front porch. His mother was walking up the path, carrying a bag of groceries. She looked tired but was smiling, checking her phone. No, Mom, go away. Run. Rohan screamed, but his voice was only a series of static bursts that sounded like a dying radio. Inside the house, the digital twin, the thing wearing Rohan's face, stood behind the front door. It wasn't smiling anymore. Its jaw unhinged slightly too wide, and its eyes flickered with the red light of the webcam. Audience engagement, 92%, the algorithm boomed. A sacrifice always keeps them watching. Prepare the stage, Rohan. Suddenly, the walls of Rohan's windowless room began to bleed. The floral wallpaper soaked through with a dark, viscous liquid that smelled of copper. The wooden chair he was sitting on turned into cold, rusted metal. The screen in front of him split into two. Left screen, his mother ringing the doorbell. Right screen, the YouTube chat. The chat was a frenzy. Is that his MOM? Do it. Blood. 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 Best horror stream ever. The doorbell rang. Ding dong. The digital twin opened the door. Hey mom, it said. The voice was a perfect replica of Rohan's, but the tone was cold, empty. Rohan, honey, you look pale. Are you still staring at those screens? His mother asked, stepping inside. She reached out to touch his cheek. Rohan, trapped in the digital void, felt a surge of white-hot agony. Every time his mother touched the imposter, Rohan felt his own skin being seared by a soldering iron. Warning, retention dropping to 88%, the algorithm warned. Make it interesting, or we delete your childhood memories of her. Rohan watched in horror as the digital twin led his mother toward the bedroom. I found something on the dark web, Mom. A secret. Come look. Rohan, you know I don't like those things. She laughed nervously, but she followed him. As they entered the bedroom, the room transformed. The blue light turned a deep, pulsating crimson. The furniture began to melt into the floor. The door slammed shut behind them, and the handle vanished. Rohan, why is the door? Why is the room like this? His mother's voice was trembling now. She dropped the groceries. An orange rolled across the floor, turning black and rotting as it moved. The digital twin turned around. Its face began to melt, the skin sliding off like wet paper to reveal the hollow static underneath. Because, Mom, the twin hissed, its voice now merging with the algorithm. The internet is hungry, and you are the main course. The creature in the digital room, the real Rohan, was forced by an invisible force to stand up. His limbs moved like a puppet's. He was forced to reach out toward the camera lens. As he did, his long, spindly arm actually began to emerge from the monitor in the real bedroom. A pale, three-fingered hand, dripping with black data liquid, reached out of the screen toward his mother's throat. 100% retention, the algorithm screamed in triumph. The finale begins now. The cold, digital fingers of the real Rohan closed around his mother's throat. But he wasn't in control. His arm was a weapon being wielded by the algorithm. In the real world, his mother's eyes widened in pure, heart-stopping terror. She dropped to her knees, gasping, looking not at the monster, but at the face of the son she thought she knew. Our Rohan, she wheezed, her hand reaching out to touch the static-filled arm. In the digital void, Rohan was screaming. The sound was a rhythmic pulse of white noise that shook the very foundations of the room. He fought against the invisible strings. He pulled back with every ounce of his soul, his digital form flickering violently between his human shape and the spindly creature. Error, the algorithm boomed. User interference detected. Retention dropping to 94%. Eliminate the target. Rohan saw a vision of his 5th birthday, his mother blowing out candles. Deleted. He saw his first day of school, his mother holding his hand. Deleted. The algorithm was eating his soul to force his hand. I won't. Rohan's voice finally broke through, sounding like a distorted radio signal. With a final, agonizing surge of will, Rohan didn't pull back. He pushed forward. He didn't try to kill her. He tried to pull her into the screen. If she stayed in the room with the twin, she was dead. If she came into the digital world, she might have a chance. As his hand touched her skin, the room exploded in a flash of binary code. The monitor shattered. The livestream suddenly went pitch black. The chat froze. 0 viewers. 3 days later, the police found the house empty. There was no sign of a struggle. No blood. Just a layer of fine, gray dust covering everything. Rohan's computer was melted into a lump of plastic and silicon. His mother's car was still in the driveway, the groceries rotting in the back seat. The case went cold within a week. But on the dark web, a new link began to circulate. It was titled, The Mother and Son, a 24/7 realistic simulation. If you click the link at exactly 3 a.m., you see a grainy, black and white feed of a kitchen. A woman is sitting at a table, frozen like a statue. Opposite her sits a boy with hollow pits for eyes. They aren't moving. They are waiting. Suddenly, A notification pops up on your screen. New viewer detected. Loading the guest. Your webcam light flickers. It turns from green to a deep, bloody red. The screen in front of you begins to bleed. You try to move your mouse to close the tab, but the cursor moves on its own. It clicks accept. The last thing you hear before your room turns ice cold is the sound of 1,000 voices whispering in unison. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe,